The US has unilaterally increased its import duties on EU goods in a significant manner. These import taxes are unjustified. They hurt EU and US companies, workers and farmers. That the situation as such is not acceptable, and we cannot afford to stay idle. We do not feel under undue pressure to accept the deal which would not be fair for us. We are absolutely clear that we are the biggest trading bloc on this planet. So we will be continuing our preparation for the further rebalancing if needed. And I would like to reassure all of you that all options are clearly on the table.
The European Union does not feel under undue pressure to accept an unfair trade deal with the United States, the EU's trade chief said. He added that other trading partners were very keen to accelerate talks with the bloc. We do not feel weak. We do not feel under undue pressure to accept a deal which would not be fair for us, European Trade Commissioner Maros Sefcovic told the European Parliament. The European Union will prepare countermeasures to the multitude of U.S. tariffs imposed on EU imports during Trump's 90-day pause, with all options on the table, he also said. Sefcovic said a negotiated solution with the United States remained the EU's clear and preferred outcome. We now need the U.S. to show its readiness to make progress towards a fair and balanced solution, he told a debate in the European Parliament.
And here I would like to underline that all options remain on the table. We are also preparing for litigation to preserve and reinforce the multilateral, rules-based trading system. At the same time, we are monitoring possible risk of trade diversion by the way of dedicated import surveillance task force, where the aim is to protect the EU market from possible surges of imports from other countries that are also hit by US tariffs and which seek alternative markets. The first results of this work are anticipated in mid-May. The Commission stands ready, if necessary, to use all available tools in our trade defence instrument toolbox in a rapid manner to protect the EU single market, EU producers and EU consumers. We will also, honourable members, continue diversifying our trade and investment ties with partners around the globe. This includes making the most of our expansive network of trade agreements with 76 countries across the globe, covering almost half of our trade, and doubling down on our efforts to finalise ongoing negotiations. Here, we know that countries around the world are looking at the EU as a trusted, reliable and predictable trading partner. In the current global environment, it is in everyone's interest to expand their network and strengthen their supply routes. For us, it is nothing less than a prerequisite for our competitiveness and our economic security that we find new markets for our exporters and new sources of imports. And it also helps double down on rules-based trade while we continue to push for proper multilateral governance with the WTO as its core. The US represents 30% of global trade. It's a lot. But we must not forget about the remaining 87%. And therefore work continues internally towards the adoption of signature of agreements with Mercosur and Mexico. These are perfect examples of deals we have made that can deliver hugely on our bid for diversification, to open new markets and further important geopolitical relations build up, while also securing key commitments on issues of climate change and sustainability. They offer significant opportunities for EU businesses and high potential for EU consumers. There is still work to be done to get them over the line. However, I count on the support of this House to ensure successful outcomes for the benefit of all. I would like to reassure everyone, especially Mr. López Aguilar, that we do not feel weak. We do not feel under undue pressure to accept the deal which would not be fair for us. We are absolutely clear that we are the biggest trading bloc on this planet, with very strong economy and with very biggest actually the network of our free trade agreements. And we know that this negotiation might not in the end succeed despite of all our sincere efforts. So therefore, we of course are preparing for the possible and might be needed rebalancing. As you've been informed about our first set of measures, which we suspended because we wanted to create space for negotiations. So we will be continuing our preparation for the further rebalancing if needed. And I would like to reassure all of you that all options are clearly on the table. Third very important element raised by many of you is that we have to highlight that these tariffs are simply unjust, unfair, and in total breach of international commercial law. And therefore, we are also considering another options and to challenge these measures in the WTO. So we are fully aware how important this is, and I think that all trading world is looking at making sure that we will come back to the rules-based international trade, to respect of the rules for all of us, because this is how the international trade should function in the future. And the last point, and thank you very much who mentioned it so clearly, Madam van Brandt, Madam Hahn, Madam Niebler, and I appreciate also the support from Mr. Oliveira, who was highlighting the importance of diversifying our trade relations. We have to make sure that we would get the most out of 87% of the global trade. And I can tell you that our phones are not stopping ringing all the time, because everyone wants to accelerate free trade agreements, negotiations with us. Everyone wants to open it if they are not open, and we are clearly opening more avenues, and I'm sure that after this mandate, the European Commission will have much larger free trade networks than it has right now, and it will be clearly to the benefits of our workers, of our businesses, of our SMEs, because we are going to open for the new market access and we are going to promote the European fair, sustainable way of trading. And if you allow me, on the last point, Mr. President, I totally agree with you that we need not only to look abroad, but also to look what we can do better inside of our European Union. And I think that this particular situation with the tariff, highlighting that also on our internal market, we still have too many barriers, which are limiting the potential of our single market, which are making it difficult for our businesses, especially for our SMEs, to strive even more on the single market. And therefore, Executive Vice President Mr. Sejourné was clearly tasked by our President Ursula von der Leyen to focus on this like the laser beam, to remove the tariffs, to increase the potential of the single market, because that's a very strong response. This is where we could be much more forceful than in the past, and I believe that combination of all these measures would make sure that Europe will not remain only the biggest trader on this planet, but also strongest economy we have, and in a close cooperation with the partners who share the same ideas, the same principles if it comes to international trading. Thank you very much, Mr. President.